Go into your work folder and open up two things. One is something we've had before, and that's, of course, Brush Factory, our playground. A new one is called Monkey JPEG. Let's come back over into Brush Factory. In my opinion, making brushes is about as easy as just selecting a brush and using it. There's not much rocket science to it. Let's make one or two here, and then we'll deal with the monkey in a minute. For example, I want to make a copyright. I want to be able to click with my brush and click and say copyright. So you can make brushes out of anything, including text. Let's pick up our type tool down here. Come over here and click, and I'm going to type in the copyright symbol, One of a Kind Productions Incorporated. That's me. Now, as long as it's not a brush, we can select the text and change the font if you want to up here, change its size. We could do all kinds of things. We're going to talk more about text later. Let's just say we like what we have. Now, can we add things like maybe a drop shadow? Well, something like that, actually, you can. Let's go into our layer 1 right here. And let's go down here to FX and go drop shadow. And let's move that over so we can see it. That's fine. We'll just leave that alone. And you want to play with that, go for it. I want to make a brush out of that. Now, here's the thing. Photoshop really makes this easier for you than it was in years past. For example, if I do go up to the word Edit on the pull-down menu and go down to Define Brush Preset, the problem is it thinks I want everything. Okay, it's giving me this up here and the crayons and everything else. I don't. But if I turn off Background, I don't have to select One of a Kind Productions Incorporated. Now, if I only want a piece of it, like maybe the copyright symbol, then yes, I need to select. But if I go back up to Edit and go down to Define Brush Preset down here, it knows that's all I want. This area here and here is just that it's got to show it to you in a square. In reality, that's all there is. Now, we could call this Copyright 2013. Now, I know I didn't put 2013 on there. Let's pretend I did. Of course, you could always go back and change it. We won't. So we're done, in a sense. We have a brush. Let's go back into Background. We can get rid of this one if you want to. Just press Delete, get rid of it. Go into your brush and come over here. Now, it will be at the bottom of the list, and there it is right here. Don't forget that we did the brush in black. That's important. If the brush is done in black, it will be completely opaque. But the drop shadow part actually came out as a shade of gray. In a brush, shades of gray actually translate into transparency. So if we come over here, and there it is, if we click, well, it looks just like it did when we made it. But if we come over here and pick up a different color, do the same thing. I can use my left and right arrow keys, if I want to make it bigger or smaller. But if you're looking for a kind of one-of-a-kind kind of stamping brush, if you will, this would be one way to get one, I suppose. We could make it. If you don't want it anymore, of course, that's very easy. We can go into the word Edit on the pull-down menu and go down to Presets and select Preset Manager. And don't forget, it's not just for brushes. It's for all kinds of things. And you say, I don't want this one anymore. So you select it right over here. Now, here's an interesting thing. We didn't get a warning. This, as far as I know, is the only thing in Photoshop that I can find that if you delete it, and understand there is no undo for this, there's no warning saying, are you sure you want to do this? But if we click Done, interestingly enough, we still have it. It's still part of the brush we're using, assuming you had it selected when you deleted it. If we come back over here, it's not really there. So if we choose another brush right now, it's now gone forever. And if you go up to the word Edit, you can say Undo Brush Tool, but you're not undoing the deletion of the tool. You're undoing what I did over here. So that is one of the few areas, kind of interesting, that you don't get a warning that you're deleting something that you can't undo. Let's come back over here, and let's go all the way back up and erase everything. Now, I mentioned about the gradient thing. Let me show you something that gives you an example of that. Let's create a new layer over here. And I'm going to draw, and I want to brush that size. Now I'm going to come over here and click this little tiny button right here above the foreground color, and that defaults to black and white. You can press the letter D on your keyboard if you want to do that easier. Then I'm going to go up and pick up my gradient tool, I'm going to click this button right here. Now, you may see different stuff in here, but you will see this one. That's foreground to background color. I'm going to click here for linear. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to grab and drag, hold my shift key, and take it to about there, and let go. So I have a gradient. Now, I do not need to have it selected to make a brush out of it. I can, but I don't need to. But if I don't have anything selected, then I need to turn off everything that I don't want as part of the brush. We already talked about that. Come up to the word edit and go down to define brush preset, and we will call this one gradient. Notice the default name is the name of the document. Go ahead and click OK. Let's go ahead and get rid of it. We do not need it anymore. And we have a background. Come over here, pick up your brush. Let's give it a different color too. And let's go here. It'll be at the bottom. Now come over here and click, and there it is. But remember, it ended in an opaque white, didn't it? But if I come up here just to show you this, it's transparent. When you're making a brush, understand that if you're using shades of gray instead of black, it's actually introducing transparency into the brush itself. Okay, so we made two brushes. Let's do one more of our monkey. So we come over here. Let me get off that for a second. Come over here. Don't forget that's white, but it doesn't matter. The brush needs to be in shades of gray. Now, if you don't do it, the computer's going to translate it for you. So I would suggest that you look at that in terms of transparency with grays. I mean, it could be a photograph. It could be anything you want. I'm going to come over here and pick up my half moon icon, and I'm going to go into black and white. I want to decide how it looks. That's not too bad, actually. But we could try some of the defaults. That makes it very dark, which means it'd be very, very opaque. And let's try darker. Actually, I like that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge this one into this one with the shortcut, and that's Command on a Mac, Control in Windows, E, merge down. Now, we don't have to go back to Brush Factory to make it. We can make it right here. Come up to the word Edit, go down to Define Brush Preset. And it gives it Monkey JPEG. I'm going to call it Monkey's Uncle. Click OK. Now we can go back to Brush Factory. We can pick up our paintbrush again. We can come over here. And we come over here and we can make a monkey's uncle in all kinds of colors. That's kind of a hard one to see, isn't it? The darker colors do seem to make it work a little bit better. The lighter ones don't seem to work as well. Well, like I said at the beginning of this lesson, brushes are very easy to make. They're almost as easy to make as they are just to plain old use.